Hey everyone, how's it going? It is either Real Randy Chavez coming at you today with a Veve OMI update video. Guys, if you're new, welcome. For not, welcome back. I love y'all. Everyone say hello to Dashi. Hello, Dashi. Commenting, liking, and subscribing is a free way to help support the channel. Non-free ways are Patreon and smashing that super thanks button down below. We'll go over some OMI first. There was some big news talking about a recent Veve campaign manager that has been excommunicated. Is that the right word? Been let go. And we'll get into all the breakdown, all the reasons why, all the reasons, the good, the bad, the ugly, everything. But how does that affect OMI? Currently, it doesn't seem to be at all. Whether they kept the person in question or they let him go, again, it didn't really, while all this was happening, it was still trading between 00060 and 00064. It is currently 0000609, so pretty much 00061. There's really been no, ever since the announcement of him, of them letting go of the said individual. So there's really nothing that, again, I don't think would have really affected the token, which is kind of good and bad. Usually when you have bigger companies and they have a change of leadership in any form, one way or the other, that'll affect, the stock price or token price, whatever they're in. But this hasn't, so good that Veve can go through a couple bumps in the road, doesn't really affect the token, but bad that oh, hey, token is still a little disconnected. That being said, I was asked about the token price on around the Ecomiverse. Me, Dr. Stuff, Crypto Rain, and Jordan Riz, and we were all very bullish. We were all asked, what is the token price going to be by the end of 2024? I was the most bearish on there, and I said, well, I think we'd do a 20x. So basically my prediction was that if you put $1,000 in right now, you, again, just this prediction, not financial advice, I think that you'd probably have $20,000 in a year from now. Again, going from 1,000 to 20,000. Put in 10,000, you have 200,000, which would get us to an all-time high of about 1.2 cents. Everyone else was like, nah, man, 4, 5, 6 cents. Like, oh, all right, yeah, that'd be fun. Now that being said, I do believe the peak in the next bull market will be in 2025. I think that's likely when OMI is to shine. And again, I still say 8 to 10 cents around there is what I think it should get. Should it get any higher? Maybe a little bit. Should it get to 30 cents? Probably not. Can it go there? I guess it could. But yeah, so if anyone kind of clipped that and thought that I was a little bit bearish, I'm really not. I just kind of try to taper expectations a little bit. Anyway, let's get into the big news. Why we're all here today. We go to the Veve, so you can go and again, for this all started a couple days ago, where the person in question just had somebody had gone back, and be advised, guys, anyone that's been on Twitter, that anyone that's relatively young, not that 30 is young. I mean, it's young for most of the world, but not young for teenagers, kids in their early 20s. The account that the people that went and looked back at this person's tweets, in general, were just toxic people. And they're just like, oh, hey, and I guarantee you they're going to do this to every single team member. I guarantee they're going to do this to every single community member in general, the ones that they just don't like. I say, oh, this person made a really interesting tweet that's, could be construed as bad. 10 years ago, they'll look at Facebook, look at Instagram, look at whatever. And yeah, if you turn up enough stones, one thing is going to lead to another. Oh, hey, this one tweet. I mean, again, it happened with James Gunn. And James Gunn was, he made a pretty dark joke that it may or may not have crossed the line, which I think comics should do. I think comics should always be towing that line and pushing that envelope. But again, the joke that he made was in 06 or 08 or something. And after Guardians of the Galaxy 2, Disney and Marvel are just like, yeah, not a good look. Even if you're not the person that this tweet kind of paints you to be, we can't afford to be doing business with someone being accused of that, whatever. So DC is all like, oh, yo, let me go and snap this guy up, because he did a really good job with Guardians. And they made him basically the Kevin Feige of DC. Marvel then soon realized their mistake. Oh, hey, this person actually does really good. And, he is a net positive to the company, to humans in general. And you really shouldn't be making those types of knee-jerk reactions, especially when you are in charge of something that is worth tens or hundreds of millions of dollars, or potentially billions of dollars, to the company. Now, obviously, the person from Veve was not in charge of anywhere near that amount of money. But I think it really does come down to, do you justify your salary, and are you a net positive for the company? Well, in this case, Veve had decided that either this person did not justify their salary and was not worth a headache, or just decided to pull a Disney and be like, hey, we don't want to be associated or have you around the company, while you're being accused of these things. Now, these things that were brought up, some of these tweets could be interpreted as like, oh, okay, yeah, this, the language you're using here is really not good. For the tweets that came out like 2 days ago, and the language that's not good, can't be condoned. And there was spaces about it, and some people were, very unbiased and tried to look at it, both ways. And some people were just off their rocker, like, oh my God, fire this man now. And then tweets came out, I think like earlier today, like in the last like 15, 20 hours. And they just looked worse. So the people like in question were, they were all minorities, which again, like the person that is in question here, he was nice to me, a minority. I don't think he was racist at all. I think that people change, and language that used to be acceptable, I mean, I don't know, some of the stuff he tweeted was it was really not okay. Yeah, I definitely should have deleted those. But anyway, in general, language changes, and in general, you have people that do change. Like Crypto Rain had said on around the Okomiverse, like, hey, one of these guys that I follow on YouTube, who's like a really big inspirational talker, inspirational guy, he went to jail for like attempted murder, and he probably did, do those unalivings and stuff like that. And so again, people do change. I've seen it. But people also, they can get stuck in their ways. Again, the guy in question, over the last 6 months or so, came to know him as an honest and decent person, and, again, was always nice to me. I never really had a ton of interactions with him. So, people can put on a face, they can put on a character, they can put on a smile, and, they could, lull you into a false sense of, who they want to project as they are, not who they really are. What was that happening there? I don't know. He seemed like a good family guy. Seemed like a good family man, and just, was very friendly towards me. Again, me being a minority, and other people, both minorities and non-minorities. But yeah, some of those tweets. Ooh. So let's get into what Veve has said about this, and then we'll break it all down. Veve says, Veve has recently been made aware of hurtful and offensive comments made over 10 years ago by a Veve team member on their personal X account. We do not in any way condone the language used, and are deeply hurt and disappointed with the comments and the impact that it has had on the Veve community and beyond. We want to take this opportunity to apologize to everyone for what has happened, and let you know that we are taking the following actions to address the recent events. We have mutually agreed to end the tenure with the team member involved, effective immediately, and will continue to work on minimizing the impact to the individual, business, and community. While this occurred prior to this team member's role with Veve, we are undertaking to review our vetting process for new hires to ensure our people are aligned to our values. I really want to, maybe it's best that they don't, but I'm really curious, okay, what are Veve values? I know in the community it's okay, collectors at heart and collect what you like. And for the most part, I'm just going to assume treat others the way you want to be treated. But that can get interpreted really differently. Especially if you're a military veteran and you call up your military folks that are still in. Like, I'll call up my friend Ty and I'll be like, "Are you still in?" and I'll laugh at him, and we'll make some very dark jokes at each other. Like, jokes if I say right now, I'd be demonetized. So people do have different senses of humor. There's been other people that said, "Oh, people just don't get my humor," and agree with that or not. Yeah, there are different types of that. And I think this does, this one way or another, this sets a precedent that Veve not necessarily has a zero tolerance policy for stuff like this. Because again, which tweet sent it over the edge? Is it the people's outcry, which I guess we'll talk about that? The people's outcry to this, you have somebody, or you have a couple of people that said, hey, if this person stays on, I'm not buying anything on Veve anymore. I don't want to say that's like a trump card, but that's a card that you can really only play once, maybe twice, but that's it. Again, I thought the person, again, I don't really know exactly the numeric value or how you can quantify the value that they brought to the team, what they brought, I don't know that. But for people to say like, oh, hey, yeah, if this person's still on the team, I'm not going to buy anything on Veve anymore. Okay, I get it now. This person had made some tweets, especially some were like a little iffy, like, oh, maybe it's a gag, maybe it's a little racist. And then some were like, okay, this is absolutely racist. Okay, yeah, I understand some people saying that. Kind of. But where does that end? That's a slippery slope. Oh, hey, there's a couple, let's say whoever discovered these tweets, whoever discovered it, that people are having a big stink about it, they go to corporate headquarters, go, hey, Veve, some people are going and saying that they're not going to support Veve anymore if this person stays on. Okay, and yes, again, could possibly be a knee-jerk reaction. I'm sure discussions were had. But now that you've set the precedent, oh, if people make enough stink, like, squeaky wheel gets the grease. If people are loud enough, they know that they can change things. And again, that can be good and bad. That can be good for drops. Hey, we want to wait for this drop until we have the wait list. Okay, cool. Veve does that. And that, so this has happened before. People make a big enough stink, Veve changes it. I think the wait list was for good. This, I don't know, because now suddenly people are like, what's next? Are they just going to choose to vilify someone that maybe has no reason to be vilified? Like, let's say Foster. I don't think I've ever heard that dude say a curse word. He's Canadian, so he's super polite. The only thing he said that offended me was when we were in New York City, and I asked him if he wanted to get bagels. He's like, yeah, I could use a bagel. I'm from New York, so how dare you? But what if they decide to do that? What if they decide to go and say, oh, hey, yeah, Foster's not fired. I'm going to go. I'm going to not support Veve anymore. I'm going to dump all my stuff. Again, where does this end? Okay. Unless you give me gems, I'm going to quit Veve. Unless you do this, we're going to boycott Veve. It's a very, very dangerous slope. It's very slippery. I really hope that they thought this through. Now, maybe this is just a one and done thing. Maybe they could say, hey, Randy, look at some of these tweets and tell me we didn't make the right decision. Okay, understand. I'm sure you did. I'm hoping and I'm sure this is the right decision, playing all these dominoes out in every different direction. I'm just hoping that some of the negative consequences of this do not come back to bite in the future. And if they do, hopefully the bite's not that bad. Anyway, let's get to more of this. They continue on to say, bringing our team together to talk openly about the impact of recent events and the importance and role that diversity plays at Veve. The CEO is a minority. Many people that work at Veve are minorities. I'm going to say more than 50% of people that work at Veve, whether they be contractors or direct employees, probably minority. I could be wrong with that, but if I look at them as a whole, between Akomi, Veve, everything, I'll say at least 50%. But yes, they are very diverse. So, and I'm glad to see that they had this roundtable discussion panel. We move on to say, also, please be aware that the Veve team member in question has now deleted their personal X profile. So any profiles that appear to be the Veve team member are not them, and we will be reporting any activity this profile undertakes. Appreciate your ongoing support and loyalty to our brand, and apologize again for any hurt or negative sentiment to our community. Again, you do have people that were talking about this level-headedly and saying, hey, as a minority. I despise these comments, but again, this is from someone that could be a completely different person more than a decade ago, and I think we should give grace. And I agree with that. I was in a space before I went live today, and it's like, oh, whoever said that, cool. I agree with that. But then again, you have people that just, some people have these moments, and when I was younger, I had them a lot too, where I was very hot-headed. Somebody just says something and it sets you off, and suddenly, you're looking to go down. So I understand that some people just will never grow out of that. The beauty about getting older is that you do become more level-headed. You do become, okay, what are the consequences of if I do this? And some of us that are older didn't have Twitters when we were younger. Some of us didn't really have social media when we were teenagers. I think I got Facebook when I was like 19. Randy Chavez on Facebook. See if you can find something like that. So one of the other cons I see of this is that I always say that it's unfortunate that certain things are funny. Like on 4chan. On 4chan, people go there to joke about things that probably should not be joked about. But some of it's really funny. And it's a good thing those things are anonymous, because most people on there, there are horrible, horrendous stuff, and some of it is funny. Again, make Peruvian jokes, make Spanish jokes, whatever jokes you want about me. If it's funny, it's funny. There's definitely a lot of talented and competent people out there that might now not choose to join the Veve team because, hey, maybe they had made some comments years back that, yeah, they may or may not regret, but they're out there, but it was them, 10, 15 years ago, and now they're a completely different person, and now it's like, hey, not only do I not want to be put under the scope, but I also, like, people put screenshots and they vilify, and like, this will be hard for anyone to get another job afterwards if they're let go in this way for something that they said eons ago. So I think the pool for talent for I think he was the campaign manager. Again, I'm not really sure how big of a role that is, how much responsibility that is, but that really does limit the talent. Not just for that position, for anyone that wants to work for Veve and be in the public eye in general. That gets really hard. And then, double it for Veve, because now you have more work. Okay, we have to make sure this person's absolutely squeaky clean. And I'm not going to lie. With this precedent that they have set, I've had what? Oh God, I don't know, thousands of videos, tens of thousands of hours on here. There's probably multiple things that I've said in these tens of thousands of hours that are just like, Randy, should you have said that? Probably not. I probably have disqualified myself from community manager, just because, again, there's probably a couple of things in the last 3 years and 10,000 hours I've been doing this that would, disqualify me from that. Whoever Veve chooses for community manager or for replacing the team member they just happen to let go, I'm sure they will pick the person that benefits the most number of people and the company. And again, whatever they pick, I will support. I will help if I can. But again, I think this does really kind of limit the talent. And I do think this is kind of also a product of the bear market. People are bored. Again, people are trolls. They like to feel a little bit, they just like to feel a little bit, it's like when, whether it's kids or exes, like, oh, my parents or my ex is not paying me any attention. So let me be super mean. Let me be super bratty and super, not a good person. And even though that'll only get me negative attention is better than no attention. A lot of these people, a lot of these trolls, a lot of these fudders, they just, they're likely not getting attention in their real lives. So at least some attention in their fake online lives. That's probably what it is. One of the good things, Veve can go and say, hey, we're on the right side of history. We have this no tolerance policy. That is not going to be tolerated here. They could appeal more a little bit to the left, and woke people is like, oh, this is a safe space, which is fine. Again, being associated with Disney, probably what you want to do. That's probably mostly a good thing. Every now and then it might not be, but mostly that's a good thing. If there's anything else I may have forgotten, but again, that's just kind of my reaction to this. Please comment, like, and subscribe. Comments are good for the YouTube algorithm. Everyone say bye-bye to Dashi. Bye-bye, Dashi. I love you guys. Much love. Bye.